I discovered the affair through Alexa, and I recorded every single word. Yes, Alexa revealed it all. That friendly little smart speaker that tells you the weather, plays your music, and turns on the lights. I had no idea it could also end a marriage. It all started when I noticed a new habit my wife had developed. She would leave the room to take calls, always with the excuse that the signal was poor. In the year 2025, inside our own apartment, it was a flimsy excuse, but I kept quiet. I watched, and I bought another Alexa, an identical one. What she didn't know was that I configured this new device into the same home group and that its microphone was set to record everything. Absolutely everything. Every conversation, every sigh. When I realized the power I held in my hands, I knew I could no longer pretend that nothing was happening. The time had come to find out who was truly sleeping next to me every night, and the answer was not a good one. I installed the new speaker in our bedroom, hidden from view, and let it record. My heart pounded like a carnival drum every time I left the house. The urge to rush back home was overwhelming, but I resisted. I needed proof, and the proof came. Within 3 days, I had my confirmation. His name, Felipe. I never trusted that guy. Her coworker always had this fake, sickly sweet smile, always a little too charming. There was something false about him. I knew it. The recording? It was him, telling her he missed her scent, that their night at the hotel was seared into his memory, and she laughed. She said I was a bore and deserved to be deceived. But that wasn't the worst part. The part that truly destroyed me came later, when she shared the details. The little tricks she used to sneak out of the house, the stupid nicknames they had for each other, the way they referred to our bedroom as the stage, a theater. My life had become their private joke. The absolute worst of it was hearing her imitate me. She would mock my voice, calling me predictable, dull, a man who only thought about spreadsheets and bills. She said she only put up with my touch because I paid the bills. And he laughed, a low, disgusting laugh, the sound of a man who feels superior. I froze. I stared at the bedroom wall for a full hour without moving. It was all there, every word. I saved the audio files, organizing them by day, time, and subject. I created a folder named Theater for Two and began to plan. If they thought they were going to get away with this, they were sorely mistaken. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to dismantle them. And every step would be cold, methodical, silent. They were going to feel the same powerlessness I had felt. And she, most of all, was going to discover who the true strategist in that house was. I decided to wait for the right moment. I continued to act normally. A goodnight kiss, coffee in bed. I even invented a promotion at work to explain my sudden good mood. She bought it. She was so blinded by her own self-confidence that it never occurred to her that I might know. Her ego was her primary lover. One Saturday, I told her I was going to a company event for the day. In reality, I went straight to my HR department and requested a leave of absence. I gathered all the bank statements, inventories, and proof. I spoke with a lawyer friend and scheduled a meeting with the building manager. Everything was silent, surgical. When she received my final gift, it would be a holiday. but not one for celebration. It would mark the end of an empire of lies, and her fall would be slow. With the recorder still running, I waited another week. On the eve of our wedding anniversary, I prepared dinner, a new tablecloth, expensive wine, candles. She came home from work with the look of someone who was ready to manipulate me all over again. And me? I played along. I served the wine. We made a toast. She gave a pathetic speech about how our relationship had matured. I just smiled. Then I said, I have a gift for you, but you have to listen to it first. I turned on the speaker. Play. Her voice echoed through the room. Every word. Him, saying he loved it when she wore white. Her calling him her secret man. Her face crumbled. There was no hiding it. She recognized every phrase, every intonation, and for the first time, she was silent. No excuse, no alibi. First, she froze. Then, she tried to laugh, a nervous, dry sound. She said it was a prank, that I was going insane. But as the recording continued, with her describing in detail how she deceived me, the theater collapsed. She threw her wine glass against the wall and started screaming, calling me a sicko. I remained calm. I took the folder with the audio files and placed it on the table. There's more, you know. She turned pale. I didn't want impulsive revenge. I wanted a complete and total teardown. She tried to run to the bedroom. I had already locked the door. We're not finished. Sit down. It wasn't violence. It was control. The control I hadn't had for months. And now it was back. She sat, not out of obedience, but out of fear. Fear of what I knew. Fear of what was coming next. I showed her the photos of her and Felipe entering a motel off the highway, sent by a taxi driver friend who owed me a favor. I showed her screenshots of cloned text messages, of her email, accessed from an old tablet she'd forgotten about. With every new piece of evidence I revealed, she sank deeper. When it was all over, I delivered the final blow. On Monday, you will sign the separation papers. Everything is already arranged with the lawyer. You have 10 days to leave the apartment. You will take only what you brought with you. I'm not going to humiliate you, but I'm not going to cover for you either. She cried. She begged. She collapsed on the floor, promising to change. And I just watched her, cold, a man after the war. When she realized she couldn't break me, she called me a monster. I smiled. Monsters don't make breakfast for 3 weeks while preparing not to explode. Monsters don't pay for therapy to try and understand where they went wrong. Monsters don't record. They cheat. I picked up my backpack and went to my sister's house. She was left there, alone. For the first time, Alexa fell silent. And so did I. But she didn't accept it easily. Monday came, and she didn't sign. I went to the notary's office, my lawyer by my side, documents on the table. She sent a message saying she needed to think. I thought it was fear. It wasn't. It was a game. On the third day, I received a court summons. She wanted an equal division of assets. She wanted half of the apartment I had owned since before we were married. She began to claim emotional dependency, alleging that I was controlling and manipulative, and that she'd had an emotional breakdown. She was trying to flip the narrative. She refused to leave the apartment. It became a cold war. I slept at my sister's, but showed up every day, even if it was just to grab a shirt. I wouldn't let her think she could erase me from my own home. I hired an audio forensics expert. All the Alexa files were notarized, registered with date, time, and location. My lawyers filed for an injunction to force her to vacate the property. She appealed, claiming she had nowhere to go, that she was emotionally unstable. She started posting pictures from church with captions about self-help. She even filed a police report, claiming I was stalking her. The irony was staggering. Not satisfied, she began playing the public victim. She went to my office and spoke to my colleagues, spinning a distorted version of the story where I was unhinged, hearing voices, locking her in the house. A few idiots believed her. Most didn't. But the damage was beginning to spread. She went to my mother's church, cried during the service, and asked for prayers aloud. My own family became divided. All the while, she remained in my apartment, posting stories to her social media from the mirror above our old bed, as if she were the queen of some peaceful kingdom. Her audacity had no limits. The final straw came when I discovered she was trying to sell my things. My grandfather's antique watch appeared on a local marketplace. The description read, "Rare piece, perfect condition. Reason for selling. New chapter in life." I recognized the photo instantly. It was mine. I had taken it myself years ago. Posing as an interested buyer, I arranged a meeting. And who showed up to make the sale? Her. A taxi waiting at the curb, a cynical smile on her face. She didn't even blink. That's when I snapped. I called my lawyer on the spot. I demanded urgent action. She was getting out, even if it meant being escorted by the police. She fought back harder, doubling down on her role as a martyred saint. She did a live stream, crying, talking about emotional betrayal and how women suffer in silence with cold, controlling men. I watched from a distance without interacting. Her family sent me messages demanding I be more understanding, saying she was just going through a phase. The legal process was stalled. The judge requested a conciliation hearing. I nearly threw up. I sat across from her, looking her in the eyes. She smiled that same cynical smile and asked if I couldn't just reconsider. The woman who slept with another man in our bed was now quoting the Bible to me. Her fall needed to be bigger because she still thought she was standing. With my lawyer's help, I compiled a complete dossier, not just the audio and screenshots, but receipts, bank transfers, location data, charges from motels paid with our joint credit card. I made sure it was all submitted for the next hearing. The judge, a sharp, experienced woman, reviewed it all. She scheduled a new hearing. This time, to determine the division of assets based on the actual contribution of each party. That's when she lost her composure. She walked into the courtroom pale, her lawyer already knowing it was a lost cause. I just crossed my arms. Her expression was no longer that of a victim. It was pure desperation. And Felipe? He had vanished. He stopped answering her messages. The secret man disappeared as soon as things got messy. She was evicted from the apartment by court order, but not before she broke a few things on her way out. My car was keyed in the garage. Some of my personal documents went missing. A laptop was left with a smashed screen. I had no doubt it was her work, but I didn't go to the police. It wasn't worth it anymore. All I wanted was my peace, my home, my time, my sanity, and I got it back. Slowly, I redecorated each room. I got rid of the old bed, repainted the walls, and scrubbed away any scent that reminded me of her. Alexa is still here, but now she plays jazz and only answers my questions. Every time her blue light circles, I remember that she was the one who opened my eyes. I'm not grateful for the betrayal. I'm grateful for being awake. She went to live with an aunt, from what I heard. Her reputation was in tatters, even among her own friends. Who wants to be associated with a cheater who was exposed by a smart speaker? She became a joke in the building's group chat. Someone said one of the audio clips had been leaked. I didn't do it. But I confess, I didn't lift a finger to stop it. The final hearing arrived. Cold room, white light. She looked defeated. Her eyes were hollow, masked by heavy makeup. When the judge read the final decision, that she was entitled to neither the property nor the financial settlement she had demanded, she cried. But this time, it was a cry without an audience. The judge looked at her with a mixture of pity and contempt and said that choices have consequences, and a courtroom is no place for belated remorse. All I wanted was to leave that room and never hear her voice again. It took time to breathe again without looking over my shoulder. Peace didn't come all at once, but slowly, the silence in the house stopped being so loud. I started cooking again, seeing friends, walking in the park. A neighbor I'd always found pleasant invited me for coffee. Nothing romantic, just two people who know that life can start over. And for the first time in a long time, I said yes without fear. The betrayal didn't make me a better person, but it ripped me out of an illusion and put me back on my own 2 feet. And Alexa, ironically, remains in the living room. A reminder that technology isn't the villain. The villain is the person who lies right in front of it, because the greatest victory isn't destroying the one who betrayed you. It's moving on so successfully that they have to invent lies to justify their own ruin. And she did invent them, but no one is listening anymore. Today, when someone asks if I regret trusting her, I say no. Because what shattered me also awakened me. I learned. And it wasn't a lesson in love, it was a lesson in clarity. Loving isn't being blind, trusting isn't staying silent, and forgiving isn't forgetting what was done to you while you slept beside the enemy. I carry on, free, whole, and with the certainty that Alexa wasn't the one to blame. She merely gave me the chance to open my eyes before it was too late. And honestly, every home should come with one, not for the convenience, but because sometimes the truth is only heard in the echo of an automated voice. This story is a testament to how technology can turn the tables when you least expect it. But it also reveals how betrayal, when fueled by arrogance, is utterly blinding. There are no heroes here, but you have to admit the protagonist's move was brilliant. If you enjoy intense stories full of twists and turns, subscribe to the channel right now and become part of our family. Every day, there's a new story that will captivate you. You don't want to miss it.